Lunatics, it's time to try to figure out how to win the WON Bass US Open out here at Lake Mojave. This year, the tournament is at Lake Mojave instead of Lake Mead because Lake Mead has no water. So we're out here on Lake Mojave. This is my first day out here. It's about 1:30 in the afternoon. Getting a late start, that's for sure. I got here last night, but the drive was a disaster. Battery issues with the boat, and had to buy a battery this morning, put a new battery in the boat, and we're up and running now. So we're gonna end up with 3.5 days of practice. We were supposed to have 4, but we had to bob and weave and everything like that today to get everything going. But we're on the water. We should be dialed in the brand new Skeeter. Super pumped to be out here, super pumped to try to go fishing. Word has it that the fishing is a little bit better than my little pre-practice trip I took out here in September, because it was pretty tough. And for those of you guys that have been watching my channel for a while now, you know all these tournament videos are presented by some very special companies. First one is GCI Outdoor, then we got 6 Sense Fishing, Waterland Fishing Optics, and Dual Molds. Seriously, without those companies, guys, I would not be out here fishing these events and bringing this content to you guys. So please support those companies. I got a bunch of affiliate links, discount codes, all down in the description of today's video. And I really encourage you to support those companies and take advantage of those codes, because it's gonna save you money and it's gonna let them know that I sent you over there. So in addition to practicing out here on Lake Mojave, we are gonna talk a little bit about the Carolina rig today. One of the things that I love about the Carolina rig is you can fish it all over the country, all kinds of different depths, and it catches all types of bass. I've caught spotted bass, I've caught smallmouth, and I have caught largemouth, all on the Carolina rig. So today is a Carolina rig video, because I definitely think if you add the Carolina rig to your arsenal, you're gonna catch a ton of fish. It's one of my favorite things to fish. So today's video is a practice video out here on Lake Mojave, but we're talking Carolina rigs. So when it comes to the Carolina rig, I like to fish points. I feel like points are one of the best places that you can fish the Carolina rig, and I like to fish the Carolina rig uphill. So basically what that means is you're casting out into deep water and then you're dragging that Carolina rig back up into shallow water. You get great bottom contact that way. You might break off a few more sinkers and baits and stuff like that, but I feel like you get more bites that way. I think basically fish positioning comes into play. Sometimes they want it downhill, sometimes they want it uphill, but a majority of the time I'm fishing that Carolina rig on a main lake point, and I'm fishing it uphill, casting out into deep water and then bringing that thing back up to shallow water. So right here we have a prime example of a main lake point. It's a nice skinny point that goes out into the main lake, and it just shallows out right there. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it is shallow right there. You can see the shallow water, and it just goes out into open water. This is a prime place to throw the Carolina rig. This spot will hold fish in a lot of different times of the year. I don't know if there's fish on it right this minute, but I am gonna pull out the Carolina rig and we're gonna fish it and see what happens. There we go. Carolina rig came off. Fish came off, but I just had a bite in the grass. There's deep grass down there, and I missed it. Probably didn't let it eat it long enough. That sucks. Doing a Carolina rig video, and I get bit, and I don't catch it. Well, that's a pretty big bummer that I didn't catch that fish. It would have been nice to have caught that fish on the Carolina rig for this video. Unfortunately, I had the hook inside of the bait, the 6 Sense Crube, and the point of the hook went inside the bait. So when I set the hook point never came out, so I never got a good hook in that fish to get it into the boat. That's just my bad. But basically the Carolina rig can also be a great search bait, because I found on that spot a nice little grass patch down there. It's in like 20 to 25 foot of water. I'm bringing that Carolina rig through it, and when that weight hits it, you can tell the difference between the grass and the rocks, especially when you're using a quality tungsten weight. Everything's so super sensitive down there that you can really feel the difference between the grass and the rock. Because if these fish are sitting in that deep grass, I need to know that that's what I need to target. Sometimes you can see it on forward-facing sonar, sometimes you can't. But overall, when you're fishing these main lake points and you find something like that and you get bit, it's definitely going to be a clue that these fish might still be in some of their summer patterns, because it's still 95 degrees out here. But I got clued in on a little bit of something that I can try to start building upon in the coming days. Deep points with grass on them. I want to find some of those deeper grass pockets as well as I go through in practice. But that Carolina rig not only is a great bait to search with, because it's going to tell you about that grass, tell you about the bottom composition in the area that you're fishing, but it's also a bait that gets a lot of bites, so you're going to be able to catch a few fish, see what kind of quality size you're dealing with as well.
There we go. Got one on the buzz bait. First fish. It's a little one, but it's a bite. It's a little one, but it's a bite on the buzz bait. That ain't gonna do us any good in this tournament, but at least it's a bite. Dual molded buzz bait, berry bug, got him.
These are my Hybro frames. These are the frames that I wear to work. I wear them off the water, and occasionally I'll even wear them on the water. This is the silver mirror frames, which is what I like to wear day in, day out off of the water. Waterland's got a ton of different frame options for you guys, ton of different lens colors, men's frames, women's frames, polycarbonate lenses, glass lenses, so they got you covered when it comes to sunglasses. So head over to waterlandco.com, use discount code LUNA15 so they know that I sent you, and so you can get 15% off. Again, that's waterlandco.com, use discount code LUNA15.
So in the short time that I've been here, a couple things that I've noticed is that the shallow grass is starting to die off. We're in early October and the water has significantly dropped. I'd say it's dropped 5 feet at least, which is a lot for these desert lakes, except for maybe Lake Mead. But the shallow grass is really starting to die off, but there's still grass down deep. So I have a feeling that some of these fish got pushed down into that deeper grass if they were shallow when this water started dropping, and it probably pushed them off the bank down into like the middle of these cuts with some of that deeper grass. So I picked up a drop shot to kind of see if maybe that would get some bites down in that grass. There we go, that didn't take long. Doesn't feel like a big one, but got bit pretty quick. Little guy, real little guy, but there's fish down there. But that is not what we're going for. Well, that fish was very far from what we're trying to achieve out here, but it's a bite. I don't know if that bite really tells us a story or not, but I haven't been doing this very long and I did get a bite already. So that's a good sign, but that's definitely not the size we're looking for.
Well, so far we're not on the right fish. We're catching 6-inch fish, 12-inch fish, rather than those big 3 to 5 pounders that they have out here at Lake Mojave. It's gonna take some weight to win this tournament. To win this tournament, I'm guessing you're gonna need anywhere between 15 and 20 pounds per day. I don't think it's gonna take 20 each day, but someone that wins this is probably gonna end up with a 20-pound bag at some point in this event. There's big fish out here, there's big smallmouth, there's big largemouth, so we have our work cut out for us. We still have some more time out here on the water today, but we've gotten some bites, and I really feel like that's better than the alternative, better than not catching anything. Getting those little fish kind of clues me in that there's fish biting out here. Because when I was out here last time, I wasn't getting hardly any bites whatsoever, and I've got 3 bites already today. Now, I just said those aren't the right bites, but it's something to build off of. Maybe fish a little bit deeper, maybe fish a little bit shallower, and maybe you'll find some of those larger fish. So we're just gonna keep kind of bouncing around, finding different areas, marking things that look good, marking some of that grass like we just caught some of those fish out of. I fished the Carolina rig through there. Like I said, it was a good search bait. Pulled up some of the prickly grass, mixed in with some of the softer grass that we're typically fishing out here. The prickly grass was very, very vibrant green. Whew, that was a close one. We just came up on a high spot and I'm like talking to you guys, looking at my graph at the same time, and all I see is the marks coming up for that shallow water. I can see the shallow water off to the side over here. That was a little sketchy. Thankfully, didn't hit anything. We're all good to go still, but that was a little bit scary. But that prickly grass was much more vibrant, much more green than that softer, more stringy grass that's more typical for these desert lakes. So we're gonna have to figure out what grass those fish are kind of relating to. I've found in the past, I believe that those fish are in that stringier grass more often than not, but if that stuff's starting to die off, then maybe that prickly grass is what they're relating to right now.
There we go. Wow. Wow. That ain't it. That ain't it. Okay, so what I want to do right now is go through my actual Carolina rig setup. This is my go-to setup that I throw 99% of the time. It is the 6 cents unicorn rod, 7'4" heavy action, 15 to 30 pound test, 3/8 to 1.5 ounce. I love this rod. It's super light, super sensitive, and I have the Daiwa Tatula SV in the 7.3 to 1 gear ratio. I'm not a big fan of the 8 to 1 gear ratios, the really high speed ones. I just feel like there's a lot of resistance when you're reeling that heavy weight back. A lot of times with the Carolina rig, I'm throwing a 1 ounce weight way out, and then when I reel it in, I just feel like there's a lot of drag reeling that heavy weight back. So I like to go with the 7.3 to 1. And then I always go with the traditional components for a Carolina rig. I go with a weight, I go with the clacker, and then typically I have a bead. I just forgot the bead this time. And then I have my swivel. I like a red bead with the brass clacker, and the 1 ounce lead is what I'm typically using. Out here today I have a 1/2 ounce. Out these desert lakes I kind of bring that weight down a little bit, but when I'm at home, 99% of the time I'm throwing that real heavy 1 ounce weight. When I was out in Texas throwing the Carolina rig, 1 ounce weight there as well. So I use 15 pound test fluorocarbon line as my main line, and then I go to a 12 pound test monofilament leader. I really like that leader to be monofilament because I feel like it gives it just a little bit more of a float back there. I just feel like it kind of keeps that bait just a little bit more up off the bottom, kind of gives it a little bit more of a natural action instead of that fluorocarbon making everything kind of sink down. And then depending upon what kind of cover I'm fishing, I'm either going to have a round bend hook or an EWG style hook. I pick basically between 3/0 to 5/0 depending on how big my bait is. Pretty much when I'm fishing the Carolina rig, I'm really just bombing this thing out to isolated structure. A lot of times it's going to be a rock pile, sometimes it's going to be grass depending on the lake that I'm fishing, but most of the time I'm fishing a specific piece of cover. You can fish this on expansive flats and drag it around through the grass, through those rocks, sand flats, different stuff like that. That is something you can do with the Carolina rig. So when you're fishing the Carolina rig, one of the other things that's really important is you want to fish this slow. You're going to fish it just like you would a Texas rig worm. A lot of times you're going to fish it similar to a drop shot. Maybe not just shaking it like you do a drop shot, but you're fishing it slow. You're fishing it methodically. What I like to do with the Carolina rig is I just cast it out, and then I'm going to let it go all the way down to the bottom until that line stops at the bottom, and I'll let that bait sit there. Once that bait's down on the bottom and I start bringing it back, it just slow drags back towards me. Sometimes I might pop it out of a rock or pop it out of cover or something like that, but overall it's a very slow presentation. And then when you get that bite, you're going to feel that bite. Sometimes it's going to be like that tap tap that you get with a worm, or it's just going to be one little thump. When you get that, you want to let the fish take that bait. You don't want to set the hook right away. If you set the hook right away, you're going to pull that bait out of the fish's mouth. You want to get that bait in their mouth, and then you're going to really set the hook hard with the Carolina rig. You're going to swing for the fences when you're setting the hook with the Carolina rig. A lot of times you have a lot of line out there. A lot of times you're fishing this deep, and you need to really set the hook in order to get that fish to the boat. You want to get that hook into the fish's mouth and get that fish out of cover and into the boat or onto the bank, wherever you're fishing. Yo. 6 inches. Yeah, I've gotten like 4 bites, and they were all, one was like 12 inches and the other ones were like literally like 6 inches. A lot of bluegill bites. Did you, hold on. I'm bit.
Got a bite?
Yeah, I caught one right now. Caught one right now.
Little people everywhere?
I've hardly left Catherine's.
No.
Dude, I'm catching like tiny fish, dude.
Throwing way up on the bank?
A little bit. A couple of them were like 18 foot, dude.
One of the great things about the Carolina rig is that you can fish it shallow and you can fish it deep. The Carolina rig is super versatile. I primarily fish the Carolina rig in deep water, but you can fish it shallow. I fish it all the way out to 50 foot and deeper sometimes, and then I'll fish it up on the bank sometimes. But most of the time, it's out in that 20 to 30 foot range. Most of the time, it's always gonna be that 1 ounce weight. I know today I'm fishing a little bit lighter weight, but that's dependent upon the cover that I'm fishing. I feel like the 1/2 ounce weight just does a little bit better when I'm around the smallmouth and the largemouth together. When I'm at home, I'm only fishing those largemouth, so I get away with that 1 ounce weight. I just feel like when I'm around those smallmouth, I really like going down a little bit, and I'm not fishing as deep as I am at home, typically out here in the desert.
There we go. That's a better one. That's a keeper fish, I think. Yeah, it's a better fish. It's not a big one, I don't think, but I think it's better. That was a lot deeper. That was a lot deeper. Nah, it's still little. I don't even think it's a keeper still. Nope. Man, I thought that was a better fish. Based on the way I set the hook and everything, I thought that was a better fish for sure. But it was not. Tiny.
So I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail on the baits that I like to use for a Carolina rig. I really like the 6-cents Hogwalla, and my go-to color is just gonna be green pumpkin, guys. I know some parts of the country you wanna go with your plums or your watermelon reds, but I can't go wrong with old green pumpkin. If it's super clear water, sometimes I'll go with like a watermelon or a watermelon candy or, you know, green pumpkin juice from 6-cents. But you just can't go wrong with these natural colors like that. The Hogwalla flat out catches fish, guys. And then another bait that I like to throw a lot, guys, is the Boss Hog from Do It Molds. I make these guys myself. Pretty easy pour, basic colors. This is basically just, you know, a green pumpkin with a black and some purple flake in there, maybe a watermelon color, but it's just natural colors for the most part. I fish a lot of clear water. If you're fishing dirtier water, maybe want to go with like a black and a blue, or, you know, the Nirvana style color with the green pumpkin on one side and the black and blue on the other side. But if you're in clear water, stained water, basic colors, guys, your watermelons, your green pumpkins, your purples, natural colors. Another good bait to throw on the Carolina rig, especially if you're around smallmouth or even some spotted bass, is this 6-cents Crube. This thing's a craw tube, so there's a little bit of plastic right here, and then it's got a tube body. It floats nicely up on the water. When you guys are just laying this thing over the side of the boat, this thing will float right up on top of the water. And with this monofilament leader, it's gonna sit above some of that shallow grass and stuff like that. This bait right here is super versatile. You can throw it on a Ned rig, you can punch it, you can flip it. You could probably use it maybe as a jig trailer. You can use it just like a regular tube. Plenty of things that you can do with this little Crube right here. I think it's going to be a player out here for this tournament, whether it's on this Carolina rig or whether it's on a Ned rig or just maybe even Texas rig and just real light Texas rig through the grass. Guys, another bait that I want to talk to you guys about is the 6-cents Prawn. This bait flat out gets bit on the Carolina rig as well. This isn't your traditional Carolina rig bait. Most of your creature baits like the Hogwalla and like that Boss Hog are really what most people are throwing on the Carolina rig. But sometimes I've noticed that these fish don't always want that bigger profile bait, and sometimes just downsizing it to something like this prawn right here can really get those bites when those bigger baits just aren't getting bit.
First smallmouth of the trip. again, it's a little guy. Well, we got time for about one more drop. Let's see if we can catch a keeper finally today. Got a fair amount of bites today, guys. We just can't seem to get a keeper.
Well guys, super long day today. Only got 4 hours of sleep last night and had to deal with the whole battery situation that I told you guys about, but everything seems dialed in on the boat now. Boat ran good today. Trolling motor batteries were working good. The cranky battery was working good. Everything seems to be the way it should be now. But I hope you guys liked today's video. Talking about the Carolina rig out here today. Unfortunately, we couldn't get on any good fish today, but you know, it's first day. And we got some bites. We got something to start, you know, building off of for the next few days. I'm gonna hit it hard tomorrow. Today was kind of like just make the best of it kind of a day. And tomorrow we're definitely gonna be hitting it hard. I sat in the boat for a couple hours, rigged up a whole bunch of different rods. All my spinning rods are rigged up a bunch of crankbaits, changed some topwater baits, got some different size jigs tied on. So we're gonna hit it hard tomorrow, and we're gonna get after it and try to find these fish. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and big thank you to GCI Outdoors, 6 Sense Fishing, Waterland Fishing Optics, and Dual Molds for sponsoring this event and sponsoring these videos. Guys, check out the links and discount codes down in the description of today's video so you guys can go support those companies. I'd really appreciate it if you did. So I'll see you guys in the morning. See ya.